And we're live. Welcome back to another episode of the iFilmmaker podcast. My name is Ariel Martinez, and today we have a very fun episode for you guys. Very special one. We have my friend Jonathan Lopez, boom operator, sound guy, mixer on set. We're going to have a great conversation with him. We're going to kind of discuss what it's like to do audio on set and be have a very specified, have a specialty on set like audio, which is so important. If I have not stressed that enough, sound is extremely important, even more so than the video oftentimes. So but before we do that, I want to remind you guys that we are live on YouTube. So if you're not watching, it's probably because you didn't get a notification, and if you didn't get a notification, it's probably because you're not subscribed. So go over to YouTube, iFilmmaker Podcast, subscribe to this channel and get notified every time we go live, so you guys can join in on the conversation. We have a few people already joining us already, and be a part of the conversation. Ask your questions. Make sure that you're getting your questions answered, and we'll answer them as best as we know how. So make sure you get on that. Daka is back on the chat. Twisted Art Productions, the regular people. We'll be having more people joining us now. We have several people joining us already on the chat. But anyways, with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. I want to welcome my friend Jonathan Lopez. What's up, dude?
Yo, what's going on, brother?
Going on, man. So we've been talking, like we've worked together on a few jobs already. We met on set. And it was fun, man. It was fun. And looking at what you guys do, and I've worked with the sound guy before, but I don't think I've worked with one since I started the podcast, or I didn't think about getting anyone on the podcast, and I thought it'd be fun to get you on the show.
Yeah, man, I'm glad I'm glad we were able to connect and
yeah,
and have those moments on set, which led to this now, man.
Yeah, definitely. I think we struck up a pretty good friendship, and we're able to work on a couple of jobs there together. So I guess we can go ahead and get started. So audio on set, I mean, I know how important it is. I don't know it, not even close to the extent that you guys know it. What's the name of your company? What's the background? How many people are there? Give me that little background right there.
Gotcha. The company name is Sound Ninja.
Sound Ninja. All right.
My mentor and partner is Dre Ochoa. He's a very successful audio mixer here in the Miami area. But that guy's been all over the world. So we worked together on a docu-series that we shot here in Liberty City, Liberty City, Miami, for about 6-7 months. And throughout that, I wore a lot of different hats, but I'd always been interested in audio. And he saw me. He liked my work ethic, and we clicked. It was a natural connection, just as as friends. And he said, "Hey, I have a second bag. I have a second rig, and I want you to be my starting this company, Sound Ninjas." And he's like, "I want you to be my first Sound Ninja." So with that, he trained me and took me under his wing and under his tutelage. You're now looking at a full-fledged Sound Ninja.
Nice. So is there like a belt level that you have to have? Are you like a purple belt? Are you a red belt?
I'm not quite at the black belt level, but definitely working on that. I'm learning every day. I'm not gonna act,
Right.
and act like I am the greatest sound mixer in the world. Just like as well as with cameras, technology is changing.
Oh yeah.
Aside from that, scenarios, no two sets are exactly the same. So things can go wrong, but more often than not, you get it right.
Right.
But I'm learning and I'm growing every day, just, I'm happy to have the opportunity to do something that I truly enjoy every day, and that's go to work and be audio.
Right. All right. So let's go ahead and talk about like on set, right? Like the actual profession, the work that goes into audio.
Gotcha.
You're called by a client, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're asking for an inquiry, and um they're asking for a quote. What are the factors that you look at? Because I assume not every project is the same,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So what are the factors that you look at before giving that quote? What are the things that you consider?
Well, first thing is gear, right?
Okay.
There's a standard, package, as you would say, where it's a couple lavs, our mixer, our boom, and depending on how many cameras we're shooting on, obviously our goal is to make sure that sound post production has an easy job syncing sound to the visuals, to the video.
Right.
So we try to depending on the camera, send time code. Time code in the mixer, we have the master clock, right? So we control the time, right? Through the mixer, we can send time code wirelessly to cameras, a time code feed, as well as an audio reference to camera as well. So we factor in how many cameras they're shooting on, what kind of cameras, because all of it matters.
Right.
That means it's a difference between one camera and 3 or 4 camera shoot. That means I have to bring 4 ERXs to hop up, or camera hops to hop up to camera, in order to make sure all cameras are getting a time code feed and an audio feed. Lavs, more often than not, I work off of my main bag is a 6-channel mixer.
Okay.
So, I mean, we have the capabilities of going up to 10 on Dre's bag, which is the Nomad. We use Zaxcom mixers. I use a Max, which is a smaller version of the Nomad in a sense.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean, that's just those are some of the factors. How many cameras, how many players, or key players, meaning talent or cast members, depending on the shoot, are going to be laved up. How many lavs they're going to need, and then you just factor that. You have your starting price point for a basic package or a basic kit rental, and then everything is kind of a la carte from there.
Right.
Depending on and also aside from just like the basic pricing, you want to know how long of a shoot it is, because if it's you're working on a gig for 3 months, then that's a big difference between a 3-day shoot. You can kind of I don't want to say discount things, but you factor that in as well. That this is going to be consistent income for 3 months, so you can give people breaks here and there. And same goes for the rate. When it comes to, that's just the kit rental fee. But when it comes to my day rate, I have a starting price point. And obviously the length of the shoot. I normally work off of a 10-hour day. I know traditionally it's 12, but that's where my rate starts. It's at my rate for 10. And then we can negotiate from there. It's going to be a full 12-hour day, then we'll talk a different number, or maybe I'll just settle at that rate, depending on how big the kit rental is going to be.
So you said something that I actually probably did not know about. I
Mhm.
thought the traditional full day rate is a 10-hour day.
Some
You said
people,
you said
yeah.
12?
Well, most more often than not, shoots will hire you for a 12-hour day
Wow.
nowadays. Yeah, yeah.
I have never heard that. But also I think I work in kind of different in a different environment than you. Usually I'm a one-man band. Usually I have a production assistant with me. Maybe 2 to 3 times out of the year, I have a budget to hire, a lighting guy to bring his truck of lights, and then an audio guy, which I've done before, and all that stuff, and get
Yeah.
really elaborate. But I only have I only have the benefit of doing that just a couple times out of the year. But 12-hour days, man, that's
Oh,
that's
they're,
no
they're
joke.
they're grueling. I mean, and you start at the 10, and and then they make the determination whether or not,
Right.
is it worth giving you an extra, X amount of dollars for the 12, or do they just risk it and say, well, no, more than likely it's going to be a 10-hour day,
Sure.
but then you run into OT, and you end up making what you were going to if they would have just given you the extra money for the 12, or more in certain cases.
Very nice.
Yeah.
I'm not. That could be a good scenario sometimes.
I mean, it definitely could, and again, it all depends on the production. I mean, if you're telling me we're gonna, when talking about or negotiating your rate, if it's it's a 3-day shoot and it's all sit down interviews, it's a little bit of a lighter day. It's an easier day than, it's a documentary series,
Right.
the 7-day shoot, documentary where we're running gun and we're following a basketball program, or you like we did before, a youth football program where you're just on the go nonstop. It all every like we said before, every shoot, every project is different. But you try to ask as many questions to kind of gauge what kind of project it's going to be, and what you're getting yourself into.
Have you shot reality football programs?
Yeah, we did a docuseries for Stars.
Okay.
Actually, the red carpet premiere is tomorrow.
Nice.
At the Perez Art Museum. Yeah, man, it was executively produced by LeBron James's production company.
Okay. I didn't know he had a production company.
Oh yeah, man, that guy's been he's been getting busy putting a lot of projects together. And yeah, man, they actually just announced another almost like a Who Wants to Be a Millionaire kind of show that
Man, I am a big fan of the Last Chance U docuseries on Netflix.
On Netflix, yeah.
Big fan.
Yeah, it's definitely one that I watched just when in preparation for the show.
Okay.
You study,
Yeah.
when you're told you're going to be doing a project, and that's actually, one of the comparisons was it's kind of like Last Chance U, but it's youth football. It's Pee-wee. It's Pee-wee football. So, you kind of do your research and you watch it and you see, how.
Man, you can make a documentary out of anything these days. You just got to add drama. If it has drama, you could do it. The reason why I love the Last Chance U is because, man, they can take like something like that and make it so dramatic, like insanely dramatic. I'm a huge fan of, what is it, Greg Whiteley. He's the director. He's been directing all 3 seasons. I'm like, man, this guy can really put this stuff together. That's mostly what I love to see, like every now and then they sneak away, like the cameramen come on in a shot every now and then, and I try to pause it to see what they're using. But no, that's just like the nerd in me trying to like kind of learn and see technique.
I do the same thing, man.
Yeah, the sound guy comes in there too.
Yeah, I mean, I can't watch television or film or anything the way I used to before, because now I'm always just like, well, all right, where's the log, or how did they boom this, or how, or did they that they must have done that in post. I'm just always looking for, because you're learning at the same time.
Oh yeah, my friend.
I was watching what was it, Naked and Afraid, and I'm sitting there just like, how are they? These people are naked. How are they getting such good audio?
I wonder about that too, oftentimes.
Well, I figured it out. So you know how they wear these necklaces?
Okay.
On the show,
yeah,
that's all they're wearing is a necklace, and then they have that kind of like a shoulder bag where it has all of their tools and materials.
I haven't seen the show, but
Oh, you've never seen it?
no, no, no. But sometimes what I mean is like I watch shows, and oftentimes when I know that it's a wide shot and they're not wearing any clothing or something like that, I do wonder like where's this audio coming from?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, I mean, watching it's being in the industry, as an audio mixer. I'm sure for you as a camera guy,
Yeah.
you always watch something now, not just for the pure entertainment, value.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, my
it's
friends hate that about
for
me.
purposes.
I'm constantly like looking at movies in a completely different fashion. Now I'm more like getting more into like storytelling and all that stuff, and kind of see movies in a different light.
Yeah.
Like a good example is like everybody loved Black Panther. I
Mhm.
thought it was an entertaining movie. I thought it was a good entertaining movie, but story wise is I was able to tell you everything that was about to happen, like scene for scene from the beginning of the movie. Like
Yeah.
literally, I broke it down like that, and not having seen the movie, and everything happened just as I said it was gonna happen.
Crazy.
Yeah, yeah. It was just it's just I don't know. To me, it was obvious. Like obviously they're gonna dethrone him, and sorry,
Yeah.
spoiler alert for anyone that hasn't seen
Yeah.
it. But
I guess certain parts were pretty predictable.
right,
Um,
right, right.
but like you said, it was definitely an entertaining movie, and the world that they were able to create
Oh yeah.
and bring to life, that was just incredible. The film overall.
Yeah, I gotta confess, I actually like 2 days ago I saw Infinity War finally. It was phenomenal. That thing was like completely blew my mind. I couldn't predict anything that was about to happen because it kind of like went completely opposite direction.
Yeah, man. I want to get on those kind of projects.
Yeah, no, oh, those are the big boys. Those are
Absolutely.
the you get there, you got to give me a call, man. Come on now.
Hey, you do, man. That's the goal, though,
I'll
man.
come out there with my FS5. Even if I'm able to shoot some BTS before them, bro, that would be so cool. Oh man. So I want to take a quick second and welcome all everyone else that's coming in. We got Shri. Sorry if I butcher your name, buddy. Shri Lokhande, Devon Alexis, the Joey, DSLR video shooter, Caleb Pike. What's up, dude? Welcome back. So moving forward,
Yeah.
getting on set, right? So you have all you got the gig, you got the job, you're on set. According to the equipment that you have, how early do you usually is comfortable for you to get there? And what do you start looking for? How do you start setting up?
I typically try to get to set at least 30 minutes before my call time.
Must be
Because
nice.
I know that they the one thing I've been, one of the great things that my mentor, trained me from the very beginning was about speed, being fast,
Oh, yeah.
being thorough, but never having, there's always that old goes back in oh, just waiting on audio or waiting on audio,
Oh my
and
gosh.
you just don't want to hear that.
No.
So, with the whole, obviously the branding, Sound Ninja, kind of move like a ninja, always
Yeah.
be prepared, always be ready.
That's
You
good.
get, if you're on time, you're late. So you get to set early so that you can knock out all of the little things, that obviously no one knows you have to do,
Right.
but they don't factor that time in. I always come to set, with the intention of trying to just make everyone else's job as usually a pretty tense atmosphere when you get to set at the beginning of the day, when not tense, maybe that's the bad word, but
It's unpredictable because you're trying to figure
yeah,
out what's gonna happen, you know?
exactly. So in being prepared, you're kind of making your job a little easier, and you don't want to rub anyone the wrong way, or
Of course.
like obviously there's always been this, which I completely don't understand, and I don't really like. I've never truly experienced it, but I've heard of this. It's from camera operators and sound guys that there is this like feud between audio and camera department that goes back for ages. I don't know, but I have never really run into, I mean, I've run into, DPs that have, had slight attitudes, but it's just because of the nature of the job. It's a
Yeah.
pressure situation, and they want to get the job done, and they just don't want anyone in their way. So when I get to set, like I said, I make sure all of my gear is ready, so that one, I need to dial in my transmitters, my lavaliers. They all work on frequencies, off of frequencies. So depending on where you're at, you have all kinds of things that can create that can interfere with your frequencies. Let's say you're close to a police precinct, or there's all kinds of just radio frequencies, RFs that are constantly going through the air, right? That we don't see, that are being generated from all these devices around us. So I just try to find the cleanest frequencies, and we call it dialing in your lavaliers, your transmitters. You gotta dial them in. So I get to set early to do that, so I can scan my frequencies, find the cleanest ones, and then dial them in and make sure that they, my microphones are dressed, and they're prepped. I ask questions, like I try to figure out what talent is wearing, whether or not it's indoors or outdoors, so that I can properly dress my microphone for the conditions that we're going to be shooting in. Aside from that, I make sure time code is accurate. I go with time of day, and I make sure that my all of my transmitters have batteries. All of my ERXs, have batteries. A lot of the stuff is prep that I do the night before.
Sure.
But it's just always going back over that checklist. Obviously I can't scan the frequencies the night before, because what's clean at my house isn't going to be clean on South Beach.
Right.
There'll be all kinds of
different location.
Exactly, different location. So that's one of the things. Just make sure all my gear is prepped and ready to go. Make sure batteries are good, and then I address camera. I find the AC, an AC on set. If not, then whoever the camera operator or the DP is. Obviously, if camera is already built and the AC's already done his job, or everyone, camera's pretty much set, I try to hop up to camera, and I throw on a device called an ERX, which wirelessly transmits. It communicates with my IFB 200 on my bag, which is a time code, I guess, generator. And it communicates with the ERX, and I hop up to the camera. So all cameras are different, so there's different cables. For example, the C300, that's XLR and BNC output to a mini cable. So via that, I hop up to camera. I make sure time code is synced, camera's jammed. I make sure that audio is coming through camera cleanly. I plug in some headphones. I send tone to camera, making sure that it's not distorted, or or it's not muted in any way. It's actually coming through. So that makes post production's life a little easier. And that's about it, man. Once I'm hopped up to camera, and all my lavs and transmitters are done, I go over some tests, make sure my boom is functioning correctly, and I get ready to rock. I get ready to go to work.
Nice. And you set up both a boom pole, a boom, and your labs, right?
Yeah. So on my mixer, I have which I have right here. It's actually working right now.
Nice.
But on my mixer, I have 4 analog channels and 2 digital channels. So typically, I haven't really been on many shoots that require more than 3 lavs. But if they did, then I would have to enable one of those virtual or digital channels, which isn't fun, because it's not as easy to mix on the virtual channels. But it's still, I'm still capable of getting the job done and adding more lavs if need be. So I have my 3 lavs on my channel 1, 2, and 3, and my boom would be on my 4.
Mm. And what's the difference between analog and digital?
Analog is more so just actual physical, having the physical knobs there to mix. Having the
Oh,
actual, these physical knobs here,
right.
so that I can properly mix while while we're shooting.
And then,
Because it's much more than just hitting
right.
record and capturing the audio.
Oh
You want to
yeah,
make
no,
sure
for
it's
sure.
coming through, it's coming through clean, you
Yeah.
know, and everything is mixed well. You want to send a good mix to camera. A lot of the times, post production, if it's good enough, they may just go with the mix that was sent to camera, that audio reference that's being sent to camera. That
Right,
already,
right.
you know, um, you prefer as a sound guy that they don't do that and they do their job and actually they
It's like
single out
it's
channel.
like the difference between like JPEGs and like raw in
Exactly.
photos, because yeah, you're sending a relatively good signal as
Hmm.
scratch audio, but
Exactly.
like if I was to hear it, I would say it sounds amazing, but I'm not comparing it to like the original raw wave. Is it a wave recording, right?
Yeah, they record in waves.
Right. So I know there's depth. There's a lot more depth. There's a big difference in the sound quality. But I
Yeah.
guess it depends on what they plan to use it for. Like if they plan to do some heavy editing with it,
Hmm.
then obviously they would. I mean, I'm sure they know what they're doing, but I fully understand that though. I fully
Yeah.
get that.
And I get it, but obviously, you would, and if it's a great mix, it's a great mix. I
Right,
did my,
right.
but you'd hope that they would go and go through each single, channel and just make sure, that they've got the best audio possibly because it's a reflection of you.
Right, of course. And what is it when it comes to, I guess, signals, and when you say you scan for frequencies, do you, because I know that there are some Wi-Fi based labs, and we're going into like, it's still prosumer, but not to the professional prosumer like your prosumer. Like this is stuff that like I would probably buy, which I do actually.
Mm.
Some of my labs are, I have 6 labs total, but like different, like across different brands. I have like Rode, Sennheiser, and Sony. But the Sony ones are frequency based, and then my Sennheisers and Rode are Wi-Fi based.
Okay.
Um, yeah, and some of them work, some of them don't. What is the
So you think it's
difference?
Wi-Fi based if you don't, or is it Wi-Fi or Bluetooth connectivity?
Could it be Bluetooth? I think that's what it is.
Maybe it's, yeah, Bluetooth, because Wi-Fi would mean you'd have to be connected to the internet in order to. Um,
Well, not necessarily, because it's Wi-Fi in the sense that like I think it's the transmitter or the receiver emits a Wi-Fi signal
oh, okay.
that is captured by the other end, either the transmitter or receiver.
Gotcha.
Um, and yeah, so that's I don't know if it's Wi-Fi or Bluetooth. I'm not sure which one
Yeah, yeah,
it is. It's one of those two, but it's basically,
yeah.
it's not frequency based where I don't have to worry about frequencies. But then I think that comes with its own set of limitations. Maybe it's the signal distance or whatever.
Maybe range.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
I remember when I was um in Colombia and I was using my Sony Labs. I had just bought it, right? And I was using it for with my FS5. And I was excited because um this is the transmitter. It's a single transmitter. Again, this is not for what you do. This is for how I shoot. Um,
Meaning, but yeah, you're getting the job done, either way.
right, right. So it was awesome because this is a receiver that receives 2 signals at once into 2 separate tracks, and it's powered by the hot shoe mount, no cables or anything like that, which is great. But nowhere in Colombia I was able to get a clean signal, like nowhere. Every place I went to, it was just getting hit after hit after hit while they talk, and it was just literally unusable stuff. I was so frustrated, and I was so confident that I didn't even take my Wi-Fi based ones. I just thought that that was gonna work.
Yeah.
It was such a huge fail. it just definitely set us back a lot. But I just wonder
Yeah.
what in I guess in professional work and for what you guys do you guys ever consider anything else other than frequency based? Say, like
No, I mean,
gear?
kind of the industry standard, and there's
Right.
different blocks. So, and you've got like block 19, block 20, block 470, which all emit different, or you can lock into different frequencies based on those channels. So, and if you do travel internationally, you have those options where, those blocks just are cleaner or freer in those areas.
See, I was not aware of any of that, and
Yeah.
I found unfortunately I found out the hard way.
Hey, and it happens, and
Yeah.
like I said, we're all still learning here.
Oh yeah,
So
for sure.
that's kind of one of those battle wounds,
Yeah.
as Dre would call it. You're earning your stripes every day on set.
Yeah. So speaking of on set again, what is some of the kind of things that you would recommend people avoid? Like let's say boom operator that goes in.
Mhm.
Um, are there kind of misconceptions about boom operators, sound engineers, and all that stuff? What is the role? Like, when do you step in and say something? When do you keep your mouth shut? Things like that. Because I know everybody has their certain role. You know what I mean? For example, the PA should not be telling the DP how to frame the shot. So um,
Absolutely.
what are some misconceptions or what are some like taboos when it comes to audio?
Um, I mean, one thing you mentioned, like when to step in,
Right.
um is kind of a big deal. Obviously, you have a very specific task when you're an audio guy on set, and your job is to make sure audio is being captured, the cleanest audio possible, right? But there's all kinds of variables and factors, unforeseen circumstances. For example, when our last shoot, right?
Yeah.
Um, who knew that they were going to be removing a tree outside for 30 minutes?
Oh
Um,
man, that's right.
so like those kind of things happen, and now obviously, what are they going to affect? They're going to affect the audio.
Of course.
Um, so you along with the director or the producer, you have those conversations on how to move forward, and you
Yeah.
make your suggestions. But at the end of the day, time is always a factor
Sure.
on shoots. So you kind of deliberate and come up with either you hold off for a little bit or see if maybe they can take a brief pause. But it could be something as major as a tree being cut and a chainsaw going off outside,
Yeah.
uh, ice cream trucks passing by, that no one else hears, right? The
Yeah.
average ear isn't going to pick it up, but
Yeah.
I'm hearing it because
Oh, for
it's
sure.
coming up on my boom, and my lavs are picking it up because they're very expensive and very strong microphones.
Right.
So at a certain point, you wait. I prefer to wait till the end of the take. Personally, I don't like to interrupt a take
That
unless
gets very sticky, man. Like
it does.
you're always
It,
thinking, man, should I stop them right now?
it does, but I've run into more instances where I've, obviously through my growing pains as an audio mixer,
Yeah.
I have interrupted, takes, and I've gotten, chewed out for it. Um,
Mm,
so me personally at this point, I just wait till the end of the take, and then
sure.
I get the director or the producer's attention, and I let them know, hey, there's an ice cream truck, or I wait for a break, and maybe it may not necessarily be the end of the take. It could be a
Right.
break in the conversation.
Sure.
And
Right.
someone when you let them know. But one thing that I did forget to mention earlier was another device that I provide for directors, producers, our ears, so that they
Oh,
can
yeah.
monitor as well.
Yeah, I
So
saw that. That was pretty
yeah,
cool.
we have IFBs so that the director or the producer, whoever wants to tune in, that's another thing that gets factored into when you're putting your package together. You know, all of those, you know, typically we include in the basic package 2 IFBs so that 2 people can monitor. But I've been on shoots where they've requested 8 to 10.
Whoa.
Yeah, where there's just that many people, you know, let's say it's a shoot for Facebook. Facebook's the client. You know, client's gonna wanna listen. There's gonna be someone from that side, some people from the production crew that are gonna want to listen. And you know, those things, you know, have range. They have a certain distance, so you know you have to be relatively close to the bag that is sending that signal.
Right.
But it's a way to also give the director, the producer, the ability to also to hear what you're hearing.
Sure.
Right. So if that ice cream truck is going by, you know, there's often times where I don't have to say anything.
Yeah.
The director's already heard it and he's looked over to me, and if he's going to cut the take, he's going to cut it. You know,
Yeah.
a lot of the times, you know, let's say there's an airplane passing by. I've worked with directors that don't give a crap about airplanes passing by. It's a natural occurrence.
Sure.
And depending on what they're, you know, what the scene is or what's being shot, they just go with it.
Yeah, the director's usually gonna know that stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So they're hearing it, you know, they hear how bad it is. You know, and if they want to move forward and push through, then they push through. But obviously it's always great to at some point get their attention and let them know, hey, you know, even though I know you have these headphones on, you know, you're not sitting here just monitoring the audio.
Right.
You know, you're producing, you're directing, you're thinking about your next question, whatever the case may be. So you don't want to assume that just because they have headphones on, you know, that they're dialed in as focused as you are on the audio. You know,
right.
They're just making sure that a lot of the time they have it on just to make sure it's actually coming through. Make sure you're doing your job, right?
Right.
But yeah, so always great to, you know, not interrupt, but, you know, at some point let them know, hey, you know, that this last take there was, you know, sometimes I've gone to sets where I've dialed in on a clean frequency. Let's say the shoot starts at, you know, at 9 o'clock. We have an 8 a.m. call time. You know, it's happened to me on South Beach, for example. I dial in frequencies. Everything is super clean, but I forget. It's before business hours, before people are powering up their devices, before, you know, stores are opening up. It's before, you know, a lot of stuff is happening. And then once we start rolling, I'm getting, you know, I'm losing range or I'm getting some kind of distortion. That frequency isn't clean anymore. Dang. So, you know, I have ways of change. You know, I can interrupt and make the adjustment and change that. But yeah, it's just there's a whole array of things that could happen. But having tact and set etiquette and understanding when your moment is to, you know, to butt in or stop the scene. Because it's always better to say something than to say nothing. And then, you know, it's a reflection of your work. Yeah, they may not tell you anything, but you may not get hired by that client again, you know?
I have such a horrible experience with that. I had a PA for a job that I had. It was simple. It was just me and a PA. Actually, I had 2 PAs on that particular job. I put one of them in charge of audio, right? I was just sending audio directly into the camera. No big deal. There's levels on the camera. There's headphones. I was conducting the interview. My PA thought that it was normal that only one track was going and not the other, even though there were 2 labs on. He didn't say anything to me the whole time. He said, as soon as we started, he said he saw that and he thought it was weird. But I found out when my client calls me and asks me, why is there only one track and the other person is super low? And I'm like, you know, my heart skipped a beat at that moment. I'm like, crap. So I go to review the footage and he's right. I'm like, so I look at it and I'm like, I already know what happened. I didn't monitor it myself. My PA wasn't fully experienced on that. And, you know, I figured if he heard something weird, he would have told me. But the fact is that he heard them both. Just one of them was slightly lower than the other and all that stuff. So, It was just so bad. It was my fault for sure, 100%. I should have put the headphones on. I should have kept those headphones on, but it was a learning experience. I just at the end I just had to like kind of refund my client just a little bit, give him like a discount.
Yeah, but you know,
No,
um,
it's
and it happens. That's why you hire a sound guy.
yeah, that's exactly why. No, yeah, when my client doesn't have an listen, you get what you pay for. When my client didn't have a
Absolutely.
budget for that, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna have to do it myself. Unfortunately, you know, that kind of faltered, you know, and you don't get
Yeah,
those kinds of mistakes with a sound guy.
yeah.
That's
Or
what
you hope not to, right?
oh yeah, no, absolutely not.
I've heard some horror stories, man.
Oh my gosh. Do you have any yourself, or like
No, man.
what's the biggest like issue that you've come across where you're like, damn, this really sucks, you know, like I hate that this is happening, or uh
Um, I want to say, hmm, I don't want to jinx myself. So first things first. Let me knock
there
on
you
wood.
go.
I've been very fortunate.
Okay.
And haven't had uh many hardware or software issues or
Okay.
gear related difficulties on set. One mistake that I have made in the past is not paying attention to how much media I had left. Um, and
Mm.
it's one of those things where as you're rolling, you're focusing on few different things, especially if you have all of your lavs playing, you're booming. There's just certain things that you're when you're booming, you're trying to stay out of everybody's way. You don't want to get your boom in anyone's shot. You don't want the DP to look over. Hey, I'm getting boom shadow, or any of that stuff. So it's a lot of things that you're thinking about while you're also mixing.
Right,
Um,
right,
so I didn't realize how much media I had, and it was a long day shooting. I normally don't go through an entire card
right.
on the day. I don't.
Of course not.
But this was a heavy, heavy day. And we get towards the end, and I'm running out of media,
Oh man.
and I didn't have another card on me.
Oh.
So, needless to say, I had to cut, run to where DIT was, have them dump that. And then I had to get back to my rig, format my card, and then start rolling again. But it was time,
Right,
it
right,
may
right, right.
have only been about 5 or 10 minutes, but it's still something that you don't
Right.
even want happening.
You hate to
Just
be the reason
again,
for delays.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And it's just one of those things that comes with preparation. And I
Right.
learned my lesson.
Yeah.
I always keep an card on me in my rig at all times,
Exactly.
just in case.
Yeah.
Um, and another downside to that was I wasn't able to back it up myself, which I like to do. Not that anything happened with the
Right,
files, but
right. It's always good to be safe. Like you like to be the
yeah,
hero.
I've had clients reach out to me like 2 months later. Hey,
Hmm.
something's happened with these files. We lost them. Would you happen to have it? And that answer, yes, is
It's always
it's
good. Oh yeah. They
always
remember
great.
you.
Yeah, exactly. And and then you have to approach every job. We call them clients because they are. They
Yeah.
at the end of the day, you want to make sure that not only are you doing a good job and helping them put the best product out there, but you want to leave a good lasting impression on folks and everyone you work with, because you hope to work with them again.
Yeah, that's always good. I practice that the same concept. Like I keep footage from for years. And actually just now I started deleting footage from like 5, 6 years ago. Um,
Wow.
yeah, no, I keep and video footage is very heavy, but even then I do not like, even if I'm done with the project, I'm done with the client. I like to keep footage for a while before I decide to start deleting stuff. But
Yeah.
I got to be absolutely certain that I'm never going to see that client again, or it's just one of those things that I'm always super concerned about, though. So,
Awesome.
So at the end, talk to me a little bit about how you kind of like market yourself. Like, is there anything special that you guys do? Do you put yourselves in directories? Also, do you have do sound operators or boom ops, do they have reels or resumes? How does that work?
Um, well, first I'll address the first part of the question, which
Sure.
is marketing. Um, I wouldn't say, we really market ourselves. Obviously social media and, just keeping, just staying connected with people that you work with, seeing what people are up to. I think our number one form of marketing is just being on set and, having, that set etiquette and
Right.
professionalism. Because honestly, most of my jobs have not most, but a good portion of my jobs have been just, reference based, or pretty much all of them are. I got your contact information from this person, got your contact information from this person, or, someone that you've worked with before and they have a job coming up and, they know the job needs an audio mixer.
Right.
So, how you conduct yourself on set is a form of marketing in itself. You want people to remember you and remember that you did a good job.
Yeah, it's definitely like what I remembered when I brought you on, when I recommended you for that last job. Um you're super easy to work with. You definitely cared about the project, making sure that everything was properly synced up, the audio was clean, and everything was just up to par, And
Exactly.
I've worked with some really bad characters, people that I just did not care to see again, and I just did not care to have their number. I don't care how good they were. I do not like to work with people like that.
And that's the big thing. I was just having a conversation with a buddy about that. It's that, you prefer to go onto a set and people,
Yeah,
it just makes your, for some reason, it just gives you a little bit of a peace of mind. Like,
for
that
sure.
guy's gonna do his job, that girl's gonna do their job, that you're gonna have a good time while doing it. um
Hmm.
it eliminates that initial awkwardness. Obviously, it's always great working with new people too,
Yeah.
because that's how you help build your brand and help build your name, is by working with more and more people. But when you show up to a set and there are familiar faces, it's always it's very good.
Yeah.
It's a good feeling, at least. But yeah, as far as marketing goes, we have the brand Sound Ninja.
Sound Ninja.
So there we've made Dre's made some hats and some shirts. So we have our some stickers too. Even embroidered the bag right
Yeah, I
here.
saw that. That was pretty cool. That was nice.
So yeah, that's something that a lot. I've noticed a lot of camera guys, or like grip companies. They have their brand on hats or shirts, and people remember this. That's another thing. Oh yeah, the guys with the ninja thing.
Yeah.
That's it's just more than putting just a name to a person. It helps leave something else that's a little more memorable.
You guys should come on set like with those karate outfits, like with the belt and
with the
everything,
gi,
boy.
with
That would
the
be,
gi, yeah,
huh?
that'd be hilarious. With the gi, that's what it's called,
Oh,
right?
that's what it's called.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
man, that'd be like even more memorable. Uh, Even with the sandals and everything, like straight up ninjas.
Hey,
Like,
if you can find me a dry fit gi,
there
I
you go.
will certainly rock it. I will rock it out,
I'm sure
man.
they exist somehow, somewhere.
Hey, maybe we just thought about something. We got to cash in on that. but
No, I
but
think
yeah,
something like karate, stuff like that. That's like super tradition, man. That's like
yeah,
they'll like rebuke you for trying to change their outfit. Probably that's
yeah.
what I don't know. I think about it that way.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. There is a strong sense of traditionalism
Oh yeah,
in
for sure.
art. But yeah, so as far as marketing, we don't really do like any
Yeah,
online marketing or anything, any viral campaigns like that. We've just been really fortunate that the work speaks for itself, and
sure.
someone once told me you know, your best reflection of how good you're doing is if your next job. So you know, just been really blessed and really fortunate to have been really busy this year and, you know, consistently working. And you know, I do have a resume. You know,
Okay.
I've been asked for it a handful of times, but you know, obviously for like much larger projects. I did a Michael Moore documentary that's, I believe, is releasing in November or
Wow.
September.
What's
I
the name of
work
that one? I think
it's going to be titled Fahrenheit 11/9.
oh yeah, I heard about that. You're a
So,
part of that? Come on.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It was really some powerful stuff though,
Yeah,
man. We
yeah, yeah.
followed. I was with them for their Florida leg of their run.
Okay.
So we went up to Parkland. We worked with, you know, we followed, documented, you know, that, and you know, the kids that are around, that are surrounding that, the Never Again movement.
Mhm.
Um, and it gave me faith in the future. You know,
Sure.
if kids at 15, 16, 14, 13 years old are this aware of and socially conscious, that you know, we you know, we have we have some really great kids that are going to help mold the future of, you know, our country, hopefully,
Right.
if they continue trending in that direction. I
Right.
know when I was 13, 14 years old, I was not as socially aware and conscious as
Oh,
these.
heck no. Not me
I,
either.
yeah, you know, but times are changing, and I think, you know, technology is a big factor. You know, how we're able to connect and consume information
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
a much, you know, faster rate than, you know, we once did when we had encyclopedias
Yeah.
in our homes, or you know, or had to go to the library. Everything's in our palm. But yeah, I followed them for that leg of the run, and then went up to Orlando, and there were some things that we covered up there as well. So for that, you know, obviously they asked for, you know, I was you know, referred to them from someone, and you know, they asked for a resume, and
Mm.
I have it ready. You know, I keep that updated with every job that I do, and that's, you know, I don't really have a sound reel.
Right, right.
You know, I'm sure audio guys, you know, do and
Right,
have
right.
it, but I've been fortunate enough where, you know, the most anyone's ever asked me for was for a resume. But it's not a bad idea. Maybe I should get one of
What's
those done.
what's the difference between, I guess, sound guys? So, for example, when I get hired, I'm not asked for a resume.
Hmm.
Very rarely have I ever been asked for a resume, because for me, when it comes to jobs like what when we worked on, like on one job together, I was DP, and another job I was just a camera operator. Um, they just want to see my work, right?
Hmm.
I don't know if that applies for sound. That's why I think, I guess, sound requires resume to see what you've worked on.
Yeah.
I and correct me if I'm wrong. It seems like sound is more of a, you know, clearly you should be able to get the job done, but what would probably determine if they want to hire you is, I guess,
I
um,
guess it's kind of hard to judge a sound guy off of a, you know, edited a final
oh,
product,
of
right?
course, of course,
It's a little rough because, you know, all sorts of things can be fixed and cleaned up in post.
right,
So is that really a great representation of what the sound guy is actually able to do out in the field? Not really, you know. Um,
right.
it is, and it is, but it's kind of not fair, you know. Because things, like I said, things can get cleaned up in
Yeah,
post,
if it's a
and
bad editor, then it reflects bad on you.
exactly. But again, I think you're, as a sound guy, your best, I guess, business card or calling card is going to be, you know, how you conduct yourself on set.
Yeah,
Um,
and that's exactly what I was getting at, because um I don't see how they could just see work and say, well, that's a good sound guy, you know.
no,
You don't know if a sound guy has to jump through hoops to make sure that that audio comes out clean, you know. So that those are the things that I think personally, I think a sound guy uh would be good to have.
I mean, for me, also, it's more than just capturing the audio. As a sound guy, I personally, I pay attention to story. I pay attention to, the project as a whole. That way, there may be something that, even while the producer is producing a scene, or this, I'm obviously listening the entire time, right? So you can have a character in a whole nother room, talking about something. Let's say, it's like a docu-style or a reality show. If as long as you're listening and there's something that's good, that's story related, you go and tell the producer, hey, this is what they're talking about in there. We may want to get a camera in there to cover that. They love that stuff.
That's good.
It shows that, it shows that you're involved and that you care
about
awesome. The project.
I didn't think about that.
So, that's another aspect, is that, that or an advantage that sound guys have, that I would assume that all of them, operate in the same manner. But, you're always able to you're able to listen. You may not be able to see what's happening back there, but you can give people a heads up by simply doing your job. And that's, that's listening.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's actually something that's really, I think it's really important and valuable for sure, to show them that you're invested in the project.
Absolutely.
Speaking of that, last question here. Have you ever heard anything funny or awkward when people think that they're not being heard, but they're still lived up, and you just happen to have that? I asked because I seem to remember some. I actually don't remember the full extent, but I seem to have heard some awkward stuff.
Oh yeah, I mean, people. I've heard all kinds of stuff. I honestly, I do try to give people their, their privacy when, we're not on camera, or we're not rolling. I'll pod it down so that, I'm not able to hear. Like, for example, I've had instances though where, let's say, the project we worked on, the Highlight documentary,
right?
I'm booming, one character, goes off camera. I'm covering, a conversation that's happening between two people, and I have another character, player that's live, and they go to the restroom. I don't see them go to the restroom, but I hear them taking a crap. Those kind of things, catch you off guard, and you're like, oh man, and then you pot it down.
The funny thing is that that's the scratch audio for the camera, isn't it?
Exactly, that's going to camera. So
they have no choice but to replace it.
Yeah, I've heard stuff like that. I've heard people, personal conversations with significant others.
Gotcha.
Come on board. I've just yesterday I was on a music video shoot, and the artist was an ex-arena football player.
Okay.
And he had banged up his knee in an injury. I don't know if it was football related. But we're shooting a scene where he has to run outside to an alleyway. We did the take a few times, and he goes outside, or he steps outside, and he's like, "Oh, damn, my knee!" And you can hear like the guy, he's not showing that he's in pain, right?
Right.
You hear him out there, he doesn't remember that he's live. So for someone to express that when no one else is around, the guy was in pain.
Yeah.
So, the director had his headphones on at that time, and he was like, "All right, let's take it a little easy on this guy, because he's in pain." But yeah, you hear all kinds of stuff, and
that's so funny, man.
But on the best part about it is just being, like, for me, is having those moments where you hear something that you think is gold.
For the story.
For the story, and you roll on it. There may not be a camera on, but you hear something that's good. You hear a good conversation happening.
Yeah.
You roll on it. You let a producer know, or if you have that kind of dynamic with the camera operator. Fortunately for me, I've worked with some really great cam ops that also get understand and have that trust.
Right.
that if I say, hey, yo, there's something good happening over here, you know, they'll pick up their camera and you know, and they get to work too. So
That's good.
Yeah.
That's awesome,
It's good.
man. Awesome, man. So I think that pretty much brings us to the end of the show. Where can people find Sound Ninja?
The Sound Ninjas. Well, we're both on Facebook, on Instagram. I go by at JAEPEZZ103. That's at JPEZ103. And Dre goes under the handle at Brownville Sound Ninja.
Nice. I'll make sure to put all that stuff on the show notes for this episode, so you guys can go over there and check them out. Sound Ninja, I would say brown belt, Jonathan Lopez.
Brown belt, absolutely. Dre's probably like on his 8th degree. So you know, I'm in good hands, and I'm just really fortunate and been blessed to have made that connection and made that and established that relationship with him, and glad that he took me in. Yeah,
that's awesome, man, and thanks so much for coming on the show. I just want to remind everyone that's still listening to us live, and for those of you that are listening to this on iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Play, whatever platform you're listening to this on. We are live currently still on YouTube. And if you want to come and join our next episode, make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel, iFilmmaker, and turn on that little bell, that notification where you get notified that we're going live. And make sure that you join our next episode of the iFilmmaker podcast. So with that being said, until next time, Mr. Sound Ninja, Jonathan Lopez, thanks for joining us, buddy.
I appreciate you, brother. Everybody, take care. Peace.